Perfect. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the PT on Ice Daily Show. It's Friday, so it's Fitness Athlete Friday, and we're going to chat today a little bit about programming, specifically looking in context for runners. But programming and what do we do? How do we modify that around a couple different situations, right? How would we want to modify programming around injury, around illness, and then around interruptions? Um, so in the endurance athlete division, right, one of our fundamental beliefs is that we want to be able to keep a runner running, right? Just like if you're more in the CrossFit space, we talk about wanting to use the gym and not leave the gym, right? Same idea here. We want our runners to be able to keep pursuing the fitness activity that they enjoy, that they're training for, and help them not kind of get discouraged or derailed. So to do that, right? There's different situations where we need to stay the course, but also shift a little bit as we're talking about load and running and distance and volume to be able to make that happen. Right? There's very few times when we actually have to tell a runner to stop running. Right? One of those being a stress fracture, right? That's the one time we probably have to tell someone to stop running. But otherwise, based on that patient or that client's irritability, right, based on their tolerance, we can usually just make some modifications to their program to help them keep on track, right? If they're training for their next big race, or just they like using running as their activity. Right. So the three main things we're going to cover, right? How might we modify and what strategies do we have when someone's injured? Right? What about if they are dealing with an illness, right? They get sick. Or what about just interruptions? Okay. Life happens. What do we do then? How do we stay the course? First point. Okay. When we are talking about injury, okay, our goal in modifying programming is that we want to reduce the load, okay, the load of running. We want to reduce that load to allow the injured tissue to heal while still being able to run. Okay. And we have other strategies in injury. We cover all of this in our courses about changing gait mechanics and using strength exercises to be able to also modify and shift that load. But what about specifically the load that patient, that client is putting on their body from running, right? To let that tissue heal, that load usually has to be reduced a little bit. So some of the strategies that we can take when someone's injured to help reduce that load. Okay, number one would be to spread runs out during the week. Allow for more recovery time. So if someone, say they're running 4 days a week, and normally just because of how their schedule works and what they like to do, say they're running Mondays and then they're doing like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's their typical running schedule. If we can shift and maybe spread out those 3 days that are back to back, right? Maybe we start running Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Sometimes just that, having that little extra recovery time in between a run, can be enough to help someone keep their symptoms at bay. So that could be one strategy. Okay, second strategy, usually if someone's more irritable and we need to reduce the load even further, right? We need to actually, instead of just spreading out the volume of running, we need to actually remove a little bit of that volume. Second strategy might be to replace some of that running with walking. Okay, still weight bearing, still similar pattern. And what I'll typically do here, right? If someone has programmed, say for that given day, they have a 60-minute run, but they start getting symptoms after, just for example, say they start getting symptoms around like 6 or 7 minutes of running. I might start to have that patient go to some walk run intervals. So we're never hitting the point where they become symptomatic, right? So we might do 4 or 5 minutes of running followed by 2 or 3 minutes of walking, 4 or 5 minutes of running, 2 or 3 minutes of walking, so that we can still get that whole 60 minutes. But instead of bumping into symptoms, right, at 8 minutes and then shutting everything down, we can keep pushing off when symptoms happen, and hopefully get to a point where they don't happen, because we're finding the right interval, the right match there. So we can still get that total training volume in. We're just going to intersperse some little walking intervals. And then finally, again, if someone is even more irritable and we need to reduce load further, okay, we can replace some running time with a non-weight bearing activity. So replacing maybe one of the runs during the week with similar intention, non-weight bearing activity like cycling or swimming. So if we're replacing, just say a 30-minute easy pace run, maybe instead we're doing a 30-minute easy pace bike. If we're going to replace more of a paced workout, a paced run, we could still use the bike or something similar for that. Like maybe we do intervals here of if the run was supposed to be 2 minutes faster pace, 2 minutes easy, we can still replicate that on the bike. Okay, so we're still at least getting the like cardiovascular stimulus, still getting training, still sticking to a schedule, but we can reduce that repetitive load from running, allowing tissues more time to heal. Okay, so that's injury. Okay, a couple strategies for reducing load when someone is injured. If someone is sick, if they're ill, okay, our goal then in modifying programming, it would be to allow the body to recover from that sickness, from that illness, without overstressing it from training. At least a lot of people I talk to, if they feel like okay, they're usually going to try and push through running even if they're feeling sick. Okay, so our first strategy here, like we have to recognize that illness, being sick, is a stress on the body that the body is trying to recover from, right? If we add load on top of that, we're adding another stress, right? We're making it harder for the body to recover well. So we might temporarily need to reduce that load. So encouraging people, strategy number one, okay, when you are sick, don't train. Like it is okay. You're not going to move backwards. It will probably help you get over that sickness faster, okay? Because the body's already stressed. Let your body do its work to recover from that illness. So don't train while you're sick. But then we have to appreciate, okay, if say someone was sick for 4 days where they didn't train, whether they, had a fever or whatever, they missed 4 days of training. Their body, though, went under a lot of stress. It's going to be really hard for that person to jump immediately back into wherever they were in their training program, right? If they missed almost a full week of their training that was supposed to be progressively building, it's going to be challenging to jump right back in, right? And we don't want to overstress the body by doing that. So one strategy you can take or encourage your runners to do as they're coming back from being sick is to think of taking as many days as they were missing training from being sick. So say they were gone, they missed training 4 days. As they're building back into running, it should take them 4 days to get back to where they were, right? So those 4 days, we might do shorter runs. Okay, they're probably going to be easy pace. We're keeping the intensity down, allowing them to still run and get back. But it wouldn't be like you were sick and then all of a sudden you feel better and program for that day. What your plan said was a 8-mile tempo run. So tempo, just working at that faster, more race pace kind of training, right? That would probably be overly stressful to a body that just recovered. So taking the next 4 days to get back on track. Okay. What about interruptions, right? We all have these. Life happens, right? Your kids get sick. You have something crazy come up for work. Just any number of things where it is not possible, right, to stick to your normal training plan. I'm sure we all could think of something, right? The goal here would be to help someone stay as close on track as possible, right? Strategy number one, okay? It's okay. It is okay to miss a run, right? Sometimes we have a hard time with that, okay? Especially our type A, got to stick to the books. Everything is happening exactly as I had it planned out from 3 months ago. It is okay to miss a day of training, right? Encourage your runners to look at it in the context of their full training plan, right? If they miss an hour of a run today, and maybe even they miss an hour of a run tomorrow, right? That's only 2 hours missed out of hundreds of hours for their full training plan. Okay. Reassure your patients, reassure your clients, it is okay to miss that time. What we don't want people to do is to think, oh my goodness, I missed 12 miles that I was supposed to run on Monday and Tuesday because of whatever that happened, right? What we don't want is that they then take that 12 miles, right, that they should have run on Monday, Tuesday, and they shift all of that 12 miles to the rest of their weekly runs. Okay, so that then their long run becomes 10 miles longer and they add an extra couple miles to something else, right? That's going to increase the stress and the load of those already longer runs, right? Maybe beyond what that person's capacity is, just because they're trying to get all of their running volume in that week. So don't cram the mileage into the rest of the week. Encourage them that it is okay to have missed a run or two. Okay. But then also on the flip side, look at, can we get something in? Is something better than nothing? And I feel like this is another point where people's minds get in the way. If I had scheduled, okay, I had a 60-minute run planned, and for whatever happens, right, I hit a bunch of extra traffic coming home, my kids got sick, whatever it is, I don't have that 60 minutes available anymore to run. Can I get 15 minutes? Can I get 20 minutes? Okay. Sometimes I feel like people will not do that, okay, because it's not the full thing. I'm really encouraging, like, if we get 20 minutes for 3 days where we should have, again, maybe been running 60 minutes, that's what our plan was, okay, we still have an hour that we got that week that we wouldn't otherwise get. And so I think appreciating that small amounts of volume still contribute to our overall training. Okay? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And that's really hard sometimes. Just like encouraging people to walk sometimes in their run is like, no, I can't do that. Right? These are just strategies. They're temporary strategies to help someone stay on track. We don't want someone to get so far removed from their training, right, where we have big gaps that then the body becomes deconditioned to running, right, that load of running, trying to keep someone as close as we can, so we never get to the point of overloading, overstressing. Right, so just to summarize, 3 situations where we want to think about modifying our programming, okay, looking at how we can potentially reduce that volume, looking at it for injury to reduce the load, allowing tissues to heal. In illness, right, allowing the body to recover without overstressing it. And then when there's interruptions, it's okay trying to stay on as much on track as possible, without overloading in any one particular run. So those are just a few thoughts. I'd love to hear other strategies that you have. Feel free to throw them in the comments below. Anything that's helpful, right, helps us to keep our community just pushing towards their goals, and continuing to do what they like to do. So if you are interested in joining a rehabilitation of the injured runner live, we have only one more course coming up for 2024. So that's going to be the first weekend of November, out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So that's last option for 2024. And then early 2025, okay, we have a course in February, again, first weekend of February out in Fort Collins, Colorado. So we'd love to have you at those. Either one of them, hit us up. Otherwise, share your comments. Let me know how you have found helpful to modify your runner's programming, and we will catch you next week.